Hello there, fellow book lovers. Today I am talking about the Japanese light novel Sword Art Online. It is volume 1 of the Aincrad storyline, and it is by Reki Kawahara. So of course this was originally released in Japan, however I don't read Japanese, so this is the official English translation from Yen Press. They have released another 2 volumes beyond this, but this is volume number 1. Now I'm going to break this review down into 2 parts. First part will be spoiler-free for probably the few of you who haven't either seen the anime of Sword Art or the manga or read this. And the rest of the video will be for those who have seen the anime but perhaps haven't been sure whether they should check out this volume or not. Sword Art Online tells the story mainly of Kirito. The light novel is told in first person from his perspective. And the story is set in the future when massive multiplayer online RPGs have taken the next step of being a completely immersive virtual reality experience. Players wear a headset which effectively shuts down their body and allows them to experience the game as if they are actually in it. They can smell, they can hear, they can see, they can touch. All of those senses are translated via the headset and projected directly into their brain, so their brain will interpret those signals and give them all of those senses. Now, on the launch date of the game, there are 10,000 players in the system. And then they discover that they can't log out. They're all transported to the main town where everybody starts the game, and there the creator of the game presents himself as this robed figure, and he tells everybody that they will not be allowed to log out, that the only way to log out will be when somebody is able to beat all 100 levels of the game. But the catch to this is that if you die in the game, you die in real life. And if anybody tries to remove you from the game by taking the helmet off, by disconnecting you, you'll also die. Sword Art then follows the exploits of Kirito and the people that he meets in their attempts to try and conquer the game. So like I said, Kirito, the story is told from his perspective. So it is first person. We only ever follow him. And the story itself is set sometime after they've been trapped in the game. We get a few flashbacks to sort of how things originally started, but for the most part, we sort of join up with Kirito when he's already a bit of an experienced player and they've already conquered a certain number of floors in the game. The novel itself is fun. It's an easy read. The disappointment I would have with this is that there's this great idea about the whole thing about the consequence of the game and that you could die in the game if you die. And I would have liked to see that explored a bit more, but in the novel, for the most part, it's kind of glazed over. I don't feel that there's quite the emotional impact on the characters in terms of that reality. And when there are characters who do die, or if characters that we are sort of closely aligned with, if they kill another character, there doesn't quite seem to be that emotional weight to that act that I really would have liked to have seen, that I think would have taken this book to the next level. However, in terms of just basically being an action, sort of fantasy type novel, it's certainly fun to read, and it's in no way a bad thing. I think what you have to admit when you go into this is that it is a pure fantasy fulfillment type story. It takes a nerdy gamer, makes him one of the most powerful swordsmen in the world because, of course, if you're awesome at games, you're awesome in sword art. Hooks him up with probably the most perfect girl that has ever played a game in any form of literature, and makes him a hero. And I think in some ways it's like a wish fulfillment story, right? That, you know, a lot of people that immerse themselves in gaming, that's sort of where their head is at, is that, geez, if I could take how awesome I am in this game and actually make that my life, that would be amazing. And that's exactly what Sword Art Online does. It has that whole thread through it about how people start accepting that they're in the game and that the game is now the life that they lead. And there's this level of acceptance to the point of almost not wanting to leave the game, or seeing the game as an incredibly valid and important part of their existence and of their life. So if you're looking for something that's kind of fun to read and is like an easy, light thing to get through, has a bit of action and fantasy, and perhaps you've heard a little bit about Sword Art or you're interested about Japanese light novels, certainly this is a good read. And I will say this, that there's 2 volumes released in the Aincrad storyline. Now, this volume number 1, tells the entire story of Aincrad. Volume 2 are sort of side stories that you don't see in this first book. So Volume 1 has a definite beginning and a definite end, and it sort of ends that story of Aincrad. You don't need to read the second volume, but the second volume does do a lot of fleshing out of characters and expanding the world, and gives you a little bit more in-depth development of people living in Sword Art, so that you have more of appreciation of the world. Now, for those who have seen the anime and are kind of wondering how this book compares, this will be full of spoilers, but if you've seen the anime, you already know everything that happens in this book. Unlike a lot of translations that we have in North America, say from novels to film, there's not a lot cut out. In fact, the anime takes Volume 1, which is sort of the main story of them getting stuck in Sword Art and then escaping Sword Art, and combines it with Volume 2, which is a whole bunch of side stories that then are combined and create the anime series. So if you've seen the anime, if you read this Volume 1, you're going to get to the end of it, and it's going to end the way that the Aincrad story ends, but you're going to say, like, where's the story with Lisbeth, and where's Yui, and all this sort of thing. Well, that doesn't happen in this book. That's in Volume 2, where they have these side stories. So for a fan of the anime, you may find that some of your favorite storylines and some of your favorite characters don't exist at all in this first volume. However, what's interesting is that it kind of addresses some of the problems in the anime. In the anime, I found that the whole jumping in time, so you have the start, because of course it's all done linear in the anime. So you have the start where they all get trapped, and then like another episode is maybe a couple months later, and then another episode is like a year later, and then another episode is only a couple months after that, and you're never quite sure where you are time-wise. In the novel is set at the 2-year point when they've already conquered the 74th floor. In terms of them showing when they were trapped in the game, what happened, that is done via flashback. And a lot of the side stories either don't exist at all, or in the case of Kirito, the one guild that he joined that met its tragic end, he relates that just as he's talking to Asuna, and he's explaining the story about it and why that was why he wouldn't join a guild. So the pacing in terms of time doesn't affect the novel, because the novel really is only set in the one time frame, which is that immediate 2-year point. So you don't have that sort of, now how far are we into it? How much time has passed? That doesn't happen in the novel. But like I said, it means that there's quite a few side stories that don't exist. The fact that they translated this so closely from the novels into the anime kind of explains why the anime is so Kirito-centric. Because it's first person. It's told from his perspective. Everything that happens in the book is all Kirito and what he experiences. So in the book, we never flash to another character. We never go to another place. So it really explains why the series, particularly the Aincrad storyline, is so focused on Kirito. The one thing that I liked about this novel, though, is that because the majority of it is set after that 2-year point, Heathcliff plays a lot bigger role in the book, which, when he gets revealed to be the creator of sword art, it makes more sense, and you can see sort of the impact of it a bit more, because Heathcliff has been way more of a consistent character, and his presence has been in the book a lot more than I felt like he was in the anime. In general, if you watch the anime and you really enjoyed it, you'll probably like the light novel. There's no reason why you won't, and it is kind of interesting to read it from that point of view, exclusively from Kirito's point of view. And even though I've seen the anime, I burned through the book really easily. I didn't find that I was bored, even though I knew what was going to happen. It was just kind of a retelling and another way of experiencing the story, and I really enjoyed it. So that's my review on Sword Art Online, Volume 1 of the Aincrad storyline. Feel free to click on subscribe. You can check out my other book reviews. I'm actually going to be reviewing a bunch of other light novels coming up. And I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.